The more and more I play this game, it's becoming more and more clear as time goes on that if you're not a huge spender, you want to contribute at all times in PvP scenarios, you simply need to be able to blank your castle to 0 troops to at least avoid rallies. Terminology is a bit subjective, but you can either be a 0 castle or a blankable castle to achieve this. There are pros and cons to both, and you can range from somewhere between 2 and 7 million troops in my opinion, depending on your march sizes, your shelter, how many marches you have. But going past those like 7 mil points is just such a dangerous game to play nowadays in my opinion. Because even if you're the biggest account on your server, what happens if you match into a max account in KVK or Champion City Siege? Well, you just can't even play the game. You just have to sit in your bubble, otherwise you're going to get blockaded and just die. And for me at least, making an account decision like that, which effectively prevents me from even playing the game, just isn't what I want to be doing. So in my mind, a 0 castle is a castle that can blank all its troops with just one external march. And what this means is that you effectively can't be reactively soloed when blanking if you play it properly, because you can hide all your troops in your shelter, and you always want one troop in your shelter at all times so you can access the shelter from the world map. So you can hide everything in your shelter, and then a fake rally, and no one can see you doing this. There's no visual cues for any of this. They're just hidden troops, but there's no visual cue to the attacker. And then with just one march, everything is hidden. So there's nothing to hit. And this one march is the only visual cue you give the attacker. So even if they hit you off that cue, there's nothing to hit. So you effectively defend your castle by just avoiding all attacks. And then when you unblank, you want to take from the ways that you hid that the attacker can't see. So you put yourself in a stronger position to tank solos when they react to this one march that returns. So you pull back from the shelter, and then you want to keep one in there. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't be able to access it from the world map, and you'll have to go back into your castle. So you pull that back, pull the rally back, and then you pull this back. And if you get attacked right now, you can quickly speed this back, and then random TP out or heal. And that is how you blank as a 0 castle. Of course, speed is important too. Like when you're doing this in the heat of the moment, you want to be really quick, just speeding through it. Especially if you're like joining a rally or something, you just want to get all your troops out as soon as possible. You don't want to waste any time at all. Bam. And a blankable castle means that whilst you keep your troop counts higher than a 0 castle, you can still hide your entire army where necessary with your shelter and all your marches. If you have your troop counts higher, it can come with its risk, because whilst you may have more troops to play with, it does open you up to being attacked a bit more in my opinion, because the unblanking process is longer, and that means there are more visual cues to attack you off, and you can take a lot of damage in those moments. So right now my blank size is something like 7.8 million troops with a 50% army size increase, but I play it around 5 to 6. I like to fill my shelter first with tier 4s, because when you bring back your shelter and your fake rally, if you take solos after that point, you will have the best defense you can possibly have. And then I need 2 bubbles realistically. You can have garrison presets for hiding troops better, because commanders equals more troops obviously, but I feel like I need the presets for soloing flexibility, so I don't do that. And if you click autofill, it will go with the strongest commanders, and you don't want to take your lord out of castle this early in my opinion. because if you get soloed of this many troops in castle but no lord bonuses, that can get very messy very quickly. So I choose not to do that. So I do one more bubble. And then this is where I choose to hide my lord. With just one more like reinforce march needed. And then that is me blank. In just 5 marches. Now, the unblanking process is a little more complicated, but it's still fairly simple. You just recall your shelter, no one can see you do that, so you're probably not going to be attacked. If you are, it's just luck. But the attacker should be waiting for cues to hit you. They shouldn't just be trying for lucky hits. And then you recall your lord. And then at that point, if you take solos, I've got what, like 1.8 mil troops at home that are mostly tier 4s and my lord bonuses. So I can just quickly return everything. If I see an enemy army is attacking your city screen here, you can like zoom your troops back and then you can heal, you can random TP again. And that is how you blank, that is how you unblank. And that is why it's so important in the current meta of the game.